Today, I'm going to show you how XRP is going to go to 4,761 this year. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thank you for watching this video. My name is DaVinci Jeremy. I'm in the pipe 5x5 here in Dubai. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in this world. We've got a good show for you today. I'm going to be talking about XRP today. I'm going to be talking about how, I'm going to do some charts. I'm going to show you where it's going and stuff like that. And but I want to show you guys something about XRP that's very important. What is it that I want to show you? Basically, what I want to show you is that XRP is effectively a fraud. Fraud against you, just like the Federal Reserve is a fraud. If you don't believe, do you believe the Federal Reserve is a fraud? If you don't believe the Federal Reserve is a fraud, a scam, then turn off the channel, go, watch TV, right? There you have your reality, right? The rest of us wants to live in the real world. You can live in the matrix, okay? So go there, right? Go to television. Okay. So the Federal Reserve is a fraud because why is it a fraud? Because it allows governments and corporations and people with lots of money to print money, and you have to go work for it. That's why it's a fraud. Okay, it's a centralized system, right? That is controlled by a few men, and then underneath that, a few more men that give out the money, right? So that's the system of the Federal Reserve. And I'm going to show you, I stumbled on something, how basically XRP and the Federal Reserve are basically the same. And let me show you, right? Is XRP, first off, let's start off with some of the gaping holes, right? Is XRP missing transactions from the ledger 1 to now? As of now, XRP doesn't not retain full transaction history starting from ledger 1. Here's a detailed explanation, right? That's missing, several blocks, several ledger entries. So we have 32,569. Yeah. You don't need to know what happened there. Technical glitch. So that's another issue. But, right, you can go, wow, they was just developing it and they made some mistakes and okay, whatever, all right? Is a federated system more or less centralized than Ethereum, right? And it goes and says, right, a federated system is generally more centralized than Ethereum, although both exist in the spectrum between a centralization and total decentralization. Okay, so what it's saying there is that you can't say that centralization is an absolute, yes, you're centralized, and absolute, no, you're decentralized. This is true. Why? Because it's a sliding scale. It's a degree, right? You have like Bitcoin, which is as far as decentralized as we possibly can make it, but it's not fully. There's no like, it's sort of like, is there an end to the universe? Not really, right? Is there, what is 1/3, right? In decimal places, 3333333, forever, right? You could only go to infinity, close to it, but never get there, right? Close to decentralized, but never really get there. And you can go close to centralized, but never really get there, right? So it is a sliding scale, right? So where is basically Ethereum on that scale? Well, Ethereum is obviously less than Bitcoin, but it's also less than a federated system. Well, you're like, what? Why you mention federated system? Well, a federated system, right, is basically, right, a top-down controlled system, right? That's how it's designed by software. So basically, whilst it sort of looks decentralized, right, on the surface, right, it's not. It is more like, for example, I don't know, let me see here, like the Federal Reserve. It looks decentralized. I said, if you were to compare the Federal Reserve federated software systems with Federal Reserve Bank, could you make a comparison? And I said, you picked Excellent analogy. Both a federated software system and a Federal Reserve Bank are designed to balance centralized coordination with distributed autonomy. Here's a comparison. Okay, so just so you know, right? When they are decentralized, they say. Like the Federal Reserve, right? And it's the big scam because would you like to vote for a system where, hey, you know what? I like this system called Federal Reserve where somebody else gets to print money and I have to work for it. Let me vote for that. In fact, let me just take some money out of my pocket and give it to that person so that he can have that power. Yeah, would you do that? Does that make any sense to you? No, it doesn't. Right? It doesn't. So with that said, right, when you compare, right, a federated system with the Federal Reserve, it's the exact same thing. Basically, they like to vote and pretend that, yeah, we're all voting to see what's right here, if we should raise rates and stuff like that, and we come to a consensus and stuff like that. But really, everybody votes the same way all the time, okay? So it is what it is, right? Okay, so the next question would be, since it's, XRP software, is the XRP a federated consensus system? Yes, XRP Ledger uses a federated consensus system, which is often referred to a Ripple protocol consensus algorithm. Federal Reserve 2.0. Thanks for coming out. Okay, so y'all want to, go, hey, not only, all those XRP people want to come out and say, not only do I want another Federal Reserve, I'm not only going to vote for it, I'm going to take my hard-earned money and pay them for the privilege to print more and create more, have more, my wealth. Because 50% of it already exists in their pockets, not in yours. But it's cheaper. Then buy sats. That's cheap. It doesn't even cost a penny to buy a sat. Bitcoin Satoshi. There it is. All right, so I'm just going to get to the point of doing some trades for you guys on XRP because, you know what? I do believe in the statement, don't hate it, don't date it, just trade it. So let's do that. So XRP, we've just made a huge pump, of course. You know what? It created some market structure nicely. Nice market structure, came up and created the W and off it went. Perfect W action that you can see that this was for once in his lifetime, not manipulation. This was probably manipulation down here, but this was not. This was actually market action. So with that said, or maybe they have just a better market maker than the one that did this down here, but whatever. So with that said, right, what have we done? We've created a new high, right, local high, right, on XRP, and it looks like we're going to go a lot higher. Looks like we're going to go to approximately if we do the 1.618, that's 4,555, right, is the target, and that's why I think that it'll go slightly higher than that, right? That's why I'm thinking it's going to go like the 4,000, 700-ish area before we see any kind of return back. Now, this is of course price. That means it's like approximately $5. Right, and U.S. dollars, Chilean pesos. So that's what I'm measuring it in Chilean pesos. Since most of you know that I came from Chile, so I'm measuring it in Chilean pesos here. So with that said, right, it's definitely going to go to $5 U.S. or to 4,761 Chilean pesos. This year. Okay, let's go on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin still consolidating. We are stuck in a range, and we will be in this range for a while. But this looks good. because it's bounced heavily off the 13 EMA. Usually when there's a first bounce off the 13 EMA, it likes to break it. There's a good chance here that with this bounce, we are going to continue a lot higher with Bitcoin. So yeah, you could take your bets, but be careful. So you're going to have to do a stop loss here and re-enter down here. That's what you're going to have to do if you decide, or halfway through or something like that. If you decide to take any kind of big risk here, you're going to have to stop loss it. Your stop loss has to be here, and then retry at a lower level if you're going to do any kind of trade. So stop loss is around 115.750, but you re-enter, you break out, and then you re-enter at the 13.5-ish area. Start entering again, and then stop lossing it approximately at 109. But yeah, that's why you're gonna have to take a bigger, less risk, meaning that you just do a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Jesus. Heading over to Ethereum. Ethereum also looking like the same, like it wants to, hey, you know what? I don't care about the fact that I'm overextended here. I'm going to go higher. It looks like it's ready to rock and roll. Be careful out there. This is not the right time to make a trade here, but if you want to, you can take a big gamble on it. Looks like the dominance has found the floor. It's trying to maintain its trajectory higher, reverse the trajectory downward trajectory, and reverse higher. We're far away from the 13 EMA on the daily, so I wouldn't be surprised that since it's overextended on the daily, it would reverse, but it doesn't have to. Looking at Solana, it's going to probably consolidate a little bit before it actually takes out the 220, but that's coming. So yeah, position yourself as it consolidates, and yeah, probably before this line here, it's probably going to take off to the 220-ish level and decide where to go from there. It could break all the way to 250 really fast, so be ready for that with Solana. Okay, well, that's it for today. I hope you learned something about XRP and basically take precautions, right? You could trade it. There's too many idiots out there that will actually believe in buying. This is basically one coin, but that one coin was a 100% complete scam, I guess. But this is more of like, hey, I'm not quite scamming you. I'm telling you exactly what's going on. You're just not paying attention. It's kind of scam. That's all. So, yeah, it is what it is. And most people will ignore it and lose a lot of wealth in the future because of this scam. Now, obviously, they're going to make some people rich, right? Obviously, right? Because it is going up. They are forcing the price up. They do have the access to printing press, and they will be able to price prices higher because they control the supply. So that's why. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.